2023. It is 3:34, and this is Property and Casualty Insurance Subcommittee. Welcome, everyone. This is our first meeting. It is being officially live streamed. So let's go ahead. Bob, you want to start with House Bill 128?
Yes, House Bill 128. This is the enhanced underinsured motorist coverage opt-out option from Delegate Crosby. This is the same bill that was passed out of this committee last year. There are no amendments.
It's passed last year, so can a motion to move the bill?
Motion to move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving House Bill 128, signify by aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Bill carries. Let's go ahead and move to House Bill. Thank you, everyone. Let's move to House Bill 903.
House Bill 903, dealing with the MAIF assessment process. There are actually 3 amendments in your packet. Just to be aware, this bill is jointly assigned with the Appropriations Committee. So we are also dealing with them when it comes to full committee. The amendments, there are 3 numbered amendments. Let's see, take them in numerical order. 433-623 essentially takes the 20% of the fines that goes to MAIF and moves it down 1 in the order before things get over to the general fund. Amendment number 493122 requires the Board of Trustees of MAIF rather than the MAIF itself to withdraw prior overassessment funds. I believe that frees up $10 million or so. And it also then has them return to the insurers for policyholder refund or for a rate filing reduction. The 3rd amendment, which is a 4-pager, 573921/1, basically requires members of the association, that's the other insurers in this category, to absorb or recap in a rate filing rather than to put on a surcharge if an assessment is made.
Right, Delegate Adams. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bob.
No, that's fine. That's all I had to say.
Okay. Sorry, Delegate Adams.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll support the bill. It's a good bill. The question I have for council is, was there concern or was there testimony about, and I think it came through this hearing about the role of MAIF, one time, or it should always be the insurer of last resort, and maybe some industry concerns about having them expand their business model. Do you recall any of that? And I might have it wrong, but just wanted to have food for thought on that.
What I will say is that's been something that has been part of the discussion around MAIF for as long as I've been counsel here. I see Tina Quigley is on the call. She's been around longer than I have on this issue. And yes, MAIF was set up as the insurer of last resort in 1972. And there has been a concern about how it functions in the market. For the most part, it is now a nearly competitive player, but there is competition within the subprime space, if you will, the substandard lines. It also does have its own uninsured division that will provide coverage when we are dealing with someone who's absolutely running bare. I don't know if the Delegate Crosby would have anything additional to add, or I do also see representatives of MAIF on the call.
Yeah, so I don't want to distract from the bill. I think it's an important bill that is necessary. It's just I wanted to, in a subcommittee setting, which is relatively informal, I just wanted to ask the question. So thank you.
Yeah, over time, there have been gradual changes to expand the ability of MAIF to offer insurance and have, for example, not to the general market, but rather to have more expansive payment plans rather than requiring a lump sum payment that is taken care of with premium finance companies. They can actually now allow installment payments, which took many years for the legislature to authorize.
All right.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
I'll move favorable on the bill.
I
All
will
right.
second that. I will second
We gotta
that.
move, we move the amendments first?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say, first we have to move the amendments.
Sorry about that.
Move the amendments?
Second it.
Okay. Any discussion on the amendments? All those in favor of moving the amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. On the bill,
I'll move the bill.
I will
Thank you.
second it.
thank you. Any discussion on the bill? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, bill passes. Next, House Bill 920.
House Bill 920 was actually heard more as a consumer protection issue, but because the motor vehicle window replacement has traditionally been within the area of property and casualty insurance, it was referred to this subcommittee for consideration. Delegate Watson's bill, there are no amendments in the file. This is the bill that essentially requires that a recalibration of the sensor systems be done if you're going to replace the glass. And you also have to let the customer know the recalibration, one, that's required, and two, you can't, if it's not feasible to do it. I know we had an informational comment from the Consumer Protection Division, and I see Mr. Sakamoto Engel is here online, suggesting some clarifying language, but that was not actually presented at the hearing. So I'm dealing with the issuance of a work order with certain information.
Now, the way it's written now, right, Bob, it requires the vendor to stipulate whether they can do it and stipulate whether they actually did accomplish it, which is
Yes.
the issue. And just to refresh everybody's memory, this is basically because so much autonomous stuff, cameras are moving all over the place and they're putting them in windshield sensors. But a lot of the cameras are going in the windshields kind of toward the top. And so when you replace the windshield because of a crack or a chip, then it's not as easy like the old days where you just called SafeLight and they popped in a windshield. It's a lot more complicated. The camera has to be taken out, remounted, and then actually calibrated for the system to work properly. And if it does not work properly or it's just not calibrated properly, it could be some very bad results. So
Yeah, I believe the Council Clark was the one who attended the hearing on this. If she has any additional clarifications or
Yeah.
can answer questions.
No, I do have one quick thing. It wasn't, as Bob said, there was not any official amendments, but there was another suggestion about having a written statement as opposed to just a statement, because the statement could mean oral and there could be
Okay.
issues as if something was said or not said. So that might be something that this subcommittee would like to consider as well.
how would we do that at this point if we don't have an amendment? Can we vote
You can,
on the idea of the amendment and then have the amendment ready for full committee?
correct. It's small enough that we're comfortable to do that.
Okay. Delegate Pippy?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely agree with the sentiment of the bill. I'm just curious, are there any other components on a vehicle that you take your vehicle to a shop, to have something repaired, it's, let's say, not repaired adequately, or it's somehow the repair impacts another component of the vehicle, and then that is like a crime? I mean, is there another example where I agree with what they're doing here. I'm just curious why we've picked this one. And I noticed it was drawered last year, the bill. So is there another example where we do this?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if there's anyone in the galley that has information on that, but I think the argument for this particular is that because, as Chair Fraser-Hidalgo said, there are all kinds of cameras and sensors in the windshield. And if something is off and somebody is relying on that, then it can have catastrophic effects. I don't know if there are other, things in cars where it works like that, but I know specifically for these windshields.
But isn't that like tort liability? I mean, I'm just like, if I go get a tire replaced and they don't fill up the tire all the way. I mean, is that unfair and abusive, practice, or is that like this establishment is now liable for potentially putting me in a hazardous situation? I'm just
No,
curious.
I think you're 100% correct. And I think that's something that, the subcommittee needs to discuss. It's not an unfair, abusive, deceptive trade practice if you don't fill up a tire correctly. So I think that's something that needs to be discussed.
Okay. Bryson, did you have something you wanted to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to address Delegate Pippy's question. I can't speak to the other systems in the car, Delegate Pippy, but the reason this bill is before you, as I hope is obvious to anybody who drives a car, is because windshields get damaged very frequently. And if you own a car that is recent vintage within the last several years, guaranteed you have cameras, sensors, more than one in that windshield. The reason this bill is before you is for one purpose, and that is consumer safety. If that windshield is not properly recalibrated, highly sensitive, if it's not properly recalibrated, you can literally drive off the road very easily. And we are in a time when many glass repair shops have the ability, have the equipment and the ability and the expertise to do this, but not all of them. So the bill requires that the consumer be told, A, that the glass repair shop can do the repair, and B, that it has been done. That's the purpose of the bill. That's why it's before you.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, I'm not going to belabor it, but there are other mechanisms in place that regulate automotive repair facilities that deal with, let's say, state inspections, right? So like dealing with brakes and tires, which I would argue equally or as frequently need to be repaired or adjusted as broken windshields. And I'm sure that there's repercussions for an establishment that replaces, and maybe there's not, but I just don't know why it's not addressed there. Instead, it's addressed here. That makes sense.
I believe, and Mr. Sakamoto Wengel is with us. He may have a different opinion, but when
If you have cracked glass, to some extent, that would fail you for a state inspection. And maybe not a small star or something like that, but cracked glass, anyways, I'm done, but thank you. Thank you.
yeah, it's all about consumer safety. So that's
Yeah,
what-
we don't
Yeah.
have annual inspections.
Yeah, Virginia does, I think.
Yeah, we don't. New Jersey did. I don't know if,
And Delegate Pippy, the only thing that I would say, which I think is pertinent here, and that is that if that windshield is replaced and it is not calibrated properly, then all that collision avoidance, all that new tech will could very well yield to that vehicle smashing into the back of another vehicle, that vehicle smashing into a telephone pole, or whatever it may be, when that sensor, if it was calibrated properly, would auto stop, or at least give you some warning. And I think that's part of the bill. And the other part of the bill is just making sure that the consumer actually knows, that is actually aware of whether it was done properly or not, as opposed to right now, it's wide open and the consumers don't understand. They just think, well, the windshield is the windshield without actually knowing it. That's my understanding. And Delegate Fisher, you're next.
Thank you. Bryson, I was just curious. I know that Safe Light was the company that came forward. Do they have kind of a corner on this kind of technology? I mean, I know the windshield is not just a windshield, but the technology to properly calibrate it.
That's a great question, Delegate Fisher. I'm happy to say they do not have a corner on it. They are a leader in this field. I think everybody who's seen television ads knows that. But there are, I believe, hundreds of independent glass shops operating in this area, and many of them, I'm told over half of them, have the ability to do these repairs or have made an arrangement with another shop that does these repairs. So the industry is shifting.
I'll be done in 1 minute. So my other question is Bryson, thank you for that answer. Is Safe Light the directed repair company of the insurance companies when this damage is done to a vehicle. And I think that that's kind of the concern with regulatory capture is, and it's a fair question, namely that insurance companies have a tendency of directing repairs to certain companies. Is that the company that everybody?
It is a fair question. I wish I could give you the
Okay.
correct answer. I do know that they do not direct business to Safelite. Safelite and other companies have arrangements with insurance companies, I believe, based on the price of the repair.
Fair enough.
Not directing them to have the repair done at a specific vendor.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Delegate Sample Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just seeking clarity on the written conversation that we were just having. Is it going to be a written document at all times or just upon request as it is in current law?
No, so it would be at all times. So I just want to read exactly what it says. So if a motor vehicle is equipped with an advanced driver assistance system, which is what's in these windshields, a motor vehicle safety glass facility must provide the customer with a statement that the work to be performed on the motor vehicle will meet or exceed original equipment manufacturer specifications.
Okay, and that's in advance of doing the work or after it's completed?
Let me see.
Both, right? Isn't it both? They have to say they can do the work and then they have to say they did do the work properly.
In
Yeah,
each,
I'm-
there are
it's-
two
it's
places,
reading- Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
reading both ways, but I'm
Okay.
reading it to be before, because it says with a statement that the work to be performed. So that's beforehand.
Okay,
yeah, that would be on
Okay.
page 3 of the bill, subsection B, B2, line
Does it-
6 to 8.
I'm sorry. Does the committee want to move that amendment?
I think that would be prudent.
Okay, I think, let's just, yeah, I'll move that amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate Adams. Is there a second?
I
Second.
second. Go ahead.
Okay, if I
Right.
can,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just provide some clarity. Last year's bill was House Bill 1420, which is in rules. Longstanding ECM policy is not to accept bills from rules unless we're absolutely ordered to do so. So it wouldn't have gotten a hearing here anyway, simply because it was late filed.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying it was not deliberately set aside on its merits. It was
Okay.
simply late,
Okay, okay.
that's all.
Okay, so we have a first and a second to amend the bill per the recommendation, and Tiffany, you're good with the verbiage that needs to be done, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so all those, I'm sorry. Good? Tiffany, good? Okay,
Absolutely,
great.
yes.
Thanks. There's a little delay on the bandwidth. Okay, so all those in favor of the amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Amendments passed. On the bill as amended. Is there a motion?
Move the bill as amended.
A
Thank
second.
you. Second. Okay, any discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, all those in favor of the bill as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just,
Any abstention?
I'll go down on that for the sake of conversation.
Okay. So.
That's everything, sir.
Good. We're good. Thank you, everyone, for I don't know, 20-minute voting session. We did some great work. I appreciate it. And there'll probably be more to come. Thanks.
see you tomorrow.
Thank
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.